The best ideas I have are in the bath. Alright, a little bit of history. I'm reading Ubik by, what's his name? Philip K. Dick. Written in 1969. 1969, yes. So, this is mostly for Hugh. It's kind of a recap of some ideas that I had with Hugh, who's a producer of films. And I've kind of developed on the ideas that I've already come up with. So I'm going to recap, kind of this is more for Hugh, but it's also what I've added, mixed up. So I can't remember what I actually came up with originally. Anyway, so I'm sitting there reading this book and I think, it's brilliant, all right? What I'd like to do is I'd like to write a film script, okay, based on the ideas because they're incredibly advanced, okay? It's psychological, sci-fi, the kind of sci-fi that I wrote, sci-fi. And most of the ideas that Philip K. Dick books have been produced in films have mostly been science fiction. And they haven't really kind of like taken the psychological aspect, which is most of his work, why it's so good. And I think we're getting up to the stage now where we can present this kind of thing in mainstream films. So I thought, well, I'll write a script over the next couple of weeks, all right, 3 weeks or something or other, and I'll write a script. And that'll be one. However, we actually know somebody that's already written a film script, John, who's now working, but he has this film script. And I was thinking that what happens if you produced a film that does it all? That does it all. Okay, it sets up the entire procedure of how we do open source filming. So, okay, I'm taking various tangents, all right? You just have to kind of follow it, the main line through. I mean, quite a lot of branches. Right. So, you go into the cinema, and instead of seeing previews, you've got tasters of films that haven't been made yet. And the idea is that you can vote on them, you can start getting involved in them. So imagine we produce one of these that is nationally distributed through cinemas. How much does that cost? Quite a lot of money. Millions? A million? £1 million? I don't really know. How much does it cost to put a trailer across all the cinemas? Okay. Now, in order to produce, therefore, something that lasts for, I don't know, a minute and a half or something, 2 minutes maybe in a cinema, that's all you have, the money that you need, and all the time. The entire project is to create that. Okay. How does it get to that stage? Because if it gets to that stage, then you're asking people maybe to put in a bit of money, and it's also an advertisement. Okay, so if you think about that stage, about getting that kind of taster, it's also an advert, all right? It's asking people to put money in. If they like the film, they want to see that film, they can put money in. It's also asking for talent. It's asking for people who would like to work. And there could just be like normal people. They say, well, I would like to be able to do that. And I'll self-fund myself for 6 months and be part of making this film. Okay, and they'll get some kind of share of whatever the film produces, you know, how much money it makes eventually. But effectively they self-fund. But it'll also, it's like an advert for incredibly skillful people, talented people that are in the industry. And they'll go, I like the look of that film. And I like the way we're kind of like getting together to do this, kind of like cooperatively or collectively. I'd like to take part in that. So like a film camera technician, somebody or other, quite skillful, very skillful, leading edge, you know, could lead that team as it were. It's kind of self-sorts. It's quite different from alternative ways for things to organise. So they see that and think, oh, I'll get like to be involved. And then there are people in between that are trying to get into the industry. All right, and they're working crappy little films and making really crappy little things, and the chances are they probably won't be able to get into anything big. Okay? However, this is their chance. They've got some skills, so therefore somebody who's skillful can make use of them. And then you've got, as I say, these people that are just wanting to get involved, all right, and are willing to kind of just put in a bit of money themselves to fund themselves. So you've got the whole range of kind of like pay kind of prices, tags, depending on the skills and experience they've got. People's involvement. Okay, that's on the side of once it's done, this taster, and how it can actually generate the interest and the numbers of people and the skillful amount of people and the right people and the money and so on. But on the other side of it, well, how does it get to that point? Well, you have websites and so on and so forth, where people, like for example, just even on YouTube, suggest an idea. Hey, wouldn't a film like this be nice? And they kind of like tell people about this idea. And then people actually like put in money and so on and so forth. No, they probably just vote. How about that? Well, maybe they put money as well. Hey, I like that idea. All right, let's put in £1, let's put in £10. In order to make enough money to get the group together to make that first taster that's going to go across, you know, the UK or America or globally or whatever, you know, cinemas. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? So the first stage is, I suppose, making some kind of little advert, as it were. Kind of. Do you see? That's kind of like the starting point. The starting point is like this one, all right? Here's me going blah, 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 blah. And if it's in the right place, and there's a system for this, people can go to the thing and say, hey, that's a nice idea, let's put money into that film. Okay, or let's give it some kind of credit or a reputation. So I'd like to see that film once it's actually been done. All right, and then the taster's made, and then they go look at the taster and say, oh, it's not quite what I thought in mind. Or, oh yeah, wow, they've done a fantastic job, and perhaps again they've been involved as well. Do you get what I'm saying? So you got these kind of like different stages, different levels of involvement, depending on the size of the project. At any one stage, you don't know what the next bit's going to be really. Now, for me, an exciting idea, it might be that the first film taster to actually be distributed in cinemas is probably, I don't know, a romantic comedy. Okay. However, I would really like for a film to contain it all. Okay, like really post-productive. So in the same way I look at Ubik and I think, oh, I can change that and post-produce it into a film, which is actually very interesting. I'd like to see if we can do a film that does the same. So when you go and see the film, when, for example, a character looks and says, there's a bit in the book, and it says, or imagine this character, quite an old guy, and he's looking at one of the characters, it happens to be the camera at a certain point, and it's like, right, and then looks away at this other character, knowingly, because it's like, who does this person think this person is, you know, I mean, what skills do they have, you know, kind of arrogance, I suppose, kind of. And that's one way of looking at it. But then if you look at the film again, okay, you realise that he's actually communicating to a member of the audience, to members of the audience. So when he's going, right, it's like he knows that the audience are there. So it might be that there's somebody watching in that cinema who watches the film for the first time and thinks, hey, this character is kind of talking to me. Really, really in real life. And as the film progresses, that becomes kind of like potentially true. There's kind of enough references where, you know, one of the characters says, well, it's like we all shifted into another reality, like we were all watching a film. You know, maybe the old guy goes, right. Because he knows. But the first time, most people watching it will be going, ah, it's just silly, of course. And that's just the character playing, you know, the old guy and so on and so forth. But actually, there might be one or two that see it the first time. And definitely once they see the film and you watch it again, they go, yeah, we are actually watching a film. And they're talking about us. Do you see? And part of the film is to it's like to sift out those individuals, and it's kind of inviting people to self-sort, so that the individuals that saw it the first time, when they viewed the film, and they had that kind of perspective, get in contact. We're kind of interested in those people, because they really are ready, all right? They really are ready. And in fact, the tasters, the adverts that are coming to the cinemas before the film are kind of like tests. And they could even go as far as to call them tests, you know, and people watch them, and for example, the first taster test thing would be to get people who are connectors, network people, because they look at the thing and they go, wow, that looks very interesting, I've got to tell my friends about it and get these people involved. And so other people watch it. Okay, so that's kind of, you need to have these network people that kind of distribute. You have to get them involved. And then you've got to have like people who are really interested in ideas, and they go, oh, yeah, that sounds interesting, I could take part in that. And this obviously, this entire escapade involves everything, all right? It involves, for example, Tab's Espion system and the simultaneous development of the system, or the confluence model or something. Anyway, it's enough of a blab. Is that too much of a blab? That's why, to actually sit there and write this out, some kind of plan and scheme, and then we all follow it, well, a load of rubbish. It's got to resonate. So Hugh, do you get what I'm talking about? Was the conversation that we had last Easter, all right, interesting enough? And is this advancing a little? Have you advanced it? Have you come up with any thoughts? I need to meet up with you, okay? When I finish this job in 4 weeks or something, 5 weeks, I'm going to be passing through London really, I would love to meet up, okay? And I'd love to find out if you've got like resonant ideas with this. That's the way it progresses. Okay, we need a few main players that have got their own ideas that are self-motivated and driven. Okay, and I'm wondering if you're one of them. All right.